Today is an exciting day because we have a new spray gun to try out. And as an official chief reviewer of the Porphis spray group, I feel it's only my obligation to review the new PRD-817 with the almighty split tip. So the job that we are going to put this gun to the test on is this Honda CR-V. It's getting a new bumper, and then it had minor damage here on the fender. So we're going to go ahead and do a small blend on the fender. First things first, we got to put our sealer down. So we're going to put it on with the PRD-817. Then we'll take it into the mixing room, tear it down, and see what improvements they made, because I suggested a couple. All right, we have our sealer in the gun. Now, I already noticed they made one change that I like a lot. So when I was setting the gun up, obviously I had to adjust my pressure, and it seems like they made the adjustment knob here a little less sensitive. So you actually have much more precise control of your pressure. Because in the past, I mean, if you move this thing just a fraction of an inch too much, it was either too much or too little pressure. So they definitely fixed that from the PRD-717. Now, let's check the fan. That's probably one of the tallest fans on all their guns. That is actually huge. It's huge, and it's actually a little thicker. So one of the big things that I suggested to them, they actually asked me, you know, is there anything that you would change about the PRD-717? Because this is essentially supposed to be the 717's predecessor. I think that means the one that follows, right? Well, you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure. And the main thing that I said to them was, I like the PRD, especially because it had a split tip, and I really mainly used it for clear, because for some reason it seemed like well, first of all, I mean, that just went on beautiful, but it seemed like mainly with our base coat, I'm thinking because it's a thinner material, that it really seemed to struggle to keep a consistent pattern with the thinner material or the base coat. Not so much with the clear. I still did run into that issue on occasion with the clear coat, but not as much as I did with the base coat, which is why you rarely ever saw me use that gun for base coat. Obviously here, it seems like they straightened out that issue, because that pattern is not only tall and wide, but extremely even. And watching it dry around the outside tells me that the fluid distribution is very, very even. Which leads me to the next suggestion that I made to them to improve this gun. It was my belief that in order to have the pattern be more consistent with the thinner material in a split tip gun, the air distribution has to be tuned in perfectly. And that ring that they used to use in the older models just was not doing it. They addressed that with the 815, which as of right now is my favorite Porphis gun, hands down. But we're gonna find out today if this thing puts up a fight. Anyway, let's see if they changed anything back here. I suggested to them that they just take the 815 distribution ring and put it in the 817, because if you're gonna run a split tip, you're gonna need that even air distribution, and the 815 certainly has that. So let's see. Oh, would you look at that? They didn't even change the color. This is a very good sign. So the fact that it has this blue ring that you see here, and you have more control, more precise control over your pressure, that's gonna help tune this gun in, and it's gonna help it perform better with that split tip. By the way, that split tip has 4 slits in it, the same as my Iwata. Some guns that run split tips have 3, like the older Iwatas have 3, the newer Iwatas have 4. This one has 4. It put that sealer down really, really nice. So I'm hoping and expecting the same when we go put our base down. because that's really where the 717 struggled, was with base. I couldn't use it with base. It was too inconsistent. I got runs because the top and the bottom of the fan sometimes were just way too heavy, and the middle just lost everything. And I know how to clean a paint gun, so I know it had nothing to do with, you know, how I clean the gun. So that's why I just stuck to it with Clearcoat, and I turned the fan in a little bit, and it kind of helped fix that problem. As you saw, we just had the fan wide open, and the pattern was perfect. Now we took our tip off. I don't know what the 817 tip looks like. I'm pretty sure it's the same. Let's just take this cap off real quick and hopefully not get sealer all over this gun. It's actually different. So you see how the 815 has a plate in front of the holes? There's no plate on this one in front of the holes. That kind of looks like the Black Widow tip. By the way, we just got back from our trip to Mexico. I brought my Black Widow, my Iwata, and my DV1 out there, and I actually decided to leave my Black Widow with the gentleman who owns that shop out there. By the way, that video is going to take me a while to edit because it's a different style of video. I didn't get as much video as I wanted, but I got enough, and I'm going to put it all in one video for you guys. It's going to be one long, really cool to watch video. So we have a new air distribution ring in the 817, and we have a new tip in the 817. Obviously it's a split tip, but we don't have that ring in front like we did on the 815 or the 717, which I believe also had it. And looking at the 815 cap, if you look in the middle there, you'll see 3 holes in the shape of a triangle, right? And in our 717, we have 2 air holes, which I believe my Iwata has 2. So this thing is getting closer and closer to my absolute all-time favorite gun, the Iwata LS400 Supernova. All right, we have our base coat in the gun. Let's check our fan. Very nice. Very nice. It does look like it is slightly wider on top and bottom. So what I'm going to do is just give my fan literally a touch of a turn in, and it seems like it straightened that out. Beautiful. Now let's do our coverage coat, and hopefully you guys don't mind. I'm going to switch to a vertical video here because I would like to do a short video with this gun. So I'm not going to be talking. I'm just going to lay a coverage coat on here, let you guys watch, and then let you know what I think after. I almost said wow while I was spraying the video. That is an absolute night and day difference from the 717. I mean, that base coat went on absolutely perfect. Look at this thing, guys. One thing I dealt with the 717, which is why I stopped using it for base, is I kept getting runs whenever I sprayed my panel like that. As you guys know, I'm spraying EnviroBase. It's made to be sprayed wet like that. And when I sprayed it wet like that with my 717, it just never seemed to work out. So I just stuck to clear, and it did a great job with the clear. But this gun, look at that. An absolute mirror. And I don't see any problems. You would see a problem here or under here or in here if you had a top or bottom heavy fan on your gun. Now on our next coat, we're gonna start blending out, and we got our nice yellow tape up here and obviously around the whole panel. Obviously we wanna keep this color away from the hood, and we wanna keep this color away from our door. So we're gonna see how precise this gun is with its blend. All right, now we are gonna go on to our second coverage coat, and I'm gonna start blending my color out. And remember, I wanna keep it away from the hood, and I don't want it to go on my door back there. So we definitely have good coverage. We definitely kept it away from the hood, and we've got nothing back there on our door. I did close our fan about a quarter of a turn. That's one more thing. I wish they would put a marking on the fan so when you open or close it, you know exactly where you're at. Because when there's no marking on it, now I have to spin the whole thing back to wide open and then start to close it to where I want to get it. And this is how our bumper is looking after our first coverage coat. You can see everything went on super even. We don't have any sags, runs, or drips like we would have had if we put that on the same way with the 717. After this, we're gonna do our drop coat. We're gonna lower our pressure, and we'll see if that affects the fan at all, because on lower quality guns, usually the pressure drastically affects the fan. On the 815, it did not, so I'm hopeful it doesn't on the 817. And we'll get to see also how it handles atomizing paint at a lower pressure. So our second coverage coat is on both panels. Everything looks absolutely beautiful. So far, I am very impressed. Now, one thing that I have to say about Porphis in general as a company, I know they haven't been around as long as some of the other well-established companies. I don't know exactly how long they've been around, but what I will give them a lot of credit for is they actually ask the painters what they like and what they don't like about the guns. And then when they send the guns out to be reviewed by painters, they encourage us to be completely, totally open and honest with you guys. So, you know, when I tell you that this thing pissed me off, they want me to tell you that because they want to know that as well. And they listen, they make the changes. You know, the fact that they put a different air distribution ring in there because it's something that I felt like the gun lacked, it means a lot to me, and it should mean a lot to you guys too. And that's why it's really important, if you guys go out and buy these guns, you let me know what you think as well. Because if you point something out, maybe that I missed or that I overlooked or that I didn't realize, I can then point it out to them and they can make sure the next one is even better. I'm really excited to see how this thing lays on clear. But first, we gotta go do our drop coat and finish our blend. Before we do our drop coat, I have our pressure pretty low. It's probably around 16 PSI. Let's check our droplet size with a low pressure. That is actually extremely impressive. Everything is getting broken up. And there's no way I could be at more than 16 PSI. And our fan is wide open. And you can see it's still absolutely massive. So that's big. That is big. For this gun, that is huge. It doesn't lose any of its fine atomization, and it doesn't lose its fan size when we adjust our pressure, which is something only the top tier guns do. Now, right there, I was trying to get some bass in the middle of our fender and not so much here. And you can see it managed to keep it away from the top, and it went on just as I wanted it to, right in the middle. So it definitely did a good job handling that blend. And based on how fine the droplets are with this low of a pressure, I am sure this gun would handle metallics with not a single issue. Now on our drop coat here, let's try to make this bumper look like suede or velvet. You guys know what I'm looking for when I do my drop coat. You basically want extremely fine droplet size while keeping the paint wet, but not too wet. Just wet enough and just even enough that your finish looks like velvet. Just like that. Not only is this a gun that I would pick up for base coat, unlike the 717, this is actually a gun I would prefer to pick up for base coat. And if you guys know me, you know I'm probably more picky about the gun I pick up for base coat than I am about the gun that I pick up for clear coat. And real quick, let's just take a look. There's our Iwata air cap. You see the 2 holes with the 4 slits. And there's our 817 with the 2 holes, and it's a little dirty, but 4 slits. Porphis, you're on to something. All right, we have our Omni MC161 in the gun, unreduced. Everything is full open for this first coat. And I am right around 27, 28 PSI.
So those of you who have been watching me long enough, you know that ever since I started using a Porphis, I always placed it as the gun right in between the SATA and an Iwata. And this gun for sure makes them lean towards the Iwata side, which makes me super excited.
So this is how we're looking after our first coat. You can see just a bit of texture. Now you may be wondering what makes me say that this gun makes them lean towards the Iwata side. And that would have to be the droplet size. I mean, this Porphis gun, out of all the guns, by far has the smallest droplet size. I'm a fan of because that makes for a smoother finish and that makes for more precision in your painting. And in collision work, precision is paramount. All right, we are ready for our second coat. Now for this coat, I went a half turn in on our fan and I dropped our pressure probably by about 2 PSI. I'm gonna slow my passes down and we're gonna really try to glass these panels out. And after this, we'll check out the final results and we'll give it its rating out of 10. All right, we gave this thing about 10 minutes to flash off, and here are our results. You can see we have a good OEM matched finish here. Didn't finish completely flat, but gave us a solid finish nonetheless. Let's check out our bumper. Same thing here on our bumper. Definitely a solid finish. The only thing I would say about this gun is I would prefer, being that it's a split tip, I would actually prefer for it to have a bit smaller of a fan and put out a bit less material, because it put out a lot of material. I mean, I was kind of worried this panel was going to get away from me. Luckily, it doesn't seem like it is, but you could see it got pretty damn close right there. So all in all, an exceptional gun. And I think one major step in the right direction for Porphis. In my opinion, I would use this gun for Basecoat. And if I had to choose another Porphis gun for Clearcoat, it would be the 815 with the 1.2 tip on it. Maybe if they make this in a 1.2, I would prefer it for clear as well. I think for clear, for me, I'd prefer it to be a bit more tamed. And the 1.2 cap on the 815 does just that. But for Basecoat, I definitely would take that gun over the 815. The reason why is because of the smaller droplet size. That just allows my Basecoat to go down so perfectly, not just for coverage, but also for my blends. In conclusion, we are gonna give this gun a solid 9.1 out of 10. That's the first 9 that we gave out on this channel. Could I use this gun for clear? I mean, sure, I could. I'd probably leave the fan wide open rather than close it at all. But I would definitely pick this gun up for base. And something tells me you guys are going to start seeing a lot of my YouTube shorts being made with that gun. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you got any value out of it, or if you were entertained, if you could, drop a like, comment, or maybe even subscribe. I appreciate it, and it helps out the channel a bunch. Until the next time, peace.